Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1. Test, test, test. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, testing. No, you're in the live room, so you should be able to hear me now. Call-in is actually for when I have guests. Right, so we're live on YouTube and also on Podbean. I was just explaining how Podbean works. If you go on there, great, brilliant. And welcome, Matt. Hi, everyone. Evening, Kel. Right, so today, portals and barriers to presence. So when I did a week or two back, I spoke about The Power of Now, which is a book by Evening Jenny, a book by Eckhart Tolle, and in it he describes a very smart metaphor, because the Power of Now obviously is all about, well, not necessarily obviously, okay, the Power of Now is all about the present moment, and it's not just about, obviously everybody knows there's a present moment, but we know it intellectually, we don't actually experience it, unfortunately. So what that means is that generally speaking, the mind is either dealing with the past or the future. It deals with it in the present moment, obviously, but the sense that the present moment is the center of our existence is not a common one. And so the Power of Now expounds, I suppose you could call it a philosophy, a concept, that there's a great deal of benefit to be had by being present, being in the present moment, observing your present moment experience. And that's undoubtedly the case. And so what Tolle does is he describes what he calls portals to the present moment, a portal to the present moment being something that helps the mind to break the brain, helps the brain to break into its autopilot mode. And autopilot mode is usually about the past or the future, generally about the future. So when you're on the way to a meeting, let's say going to meet somebody, most of us will be running scenarios in our heads about what that meeting's going to consist of, what the individual's going to say, what you're going to say, what you're going to do. And that is incredibly common, to the point where it's almost universal. And so what Tolle suggests is that there are ways to intervene in the autopilot loop that runs in our heads, and of course he's absolutely correct. And he refers to these as portals to the present moment. The portal that he, from memory, makes the most of is actually nature. Nature helps to bring us into the present moment. If you bring to mind all of those experiences that you have in nature where it breaks into your day to day, and you're left with this sense of connection, that is a pretty universal human experience, and that's actually how we're supposed to spend a lot of our time, because of course we're designed to live in nature. We're not designed to live in houses. We've had 2 billion years of evolution, and the last 10,000 years, when some small fraction of humanity has spent living in stone houses, is a blink of an eye in evolutionary history. So we're attracted to nature, we're connected to nature, and being in nature is a fantastic way to become present. And what I'm going to do is just today what I'm going to do is do some meditations that help us to understand and experience these portals. So nature's one portal, and I think Tolle might refer to the breath. It doesn't focus on the breath a great deal. It's kind of not really that much of a meditator in the traditional sense. But I find, and pretty much all of my students find, that the capacity to focus on the breath is a wonderful way to bring our mind out of a drama-induced autopilot loop. And so by doing that, we train our body to then intervene on our behalf. This is what a lot of meditation is actually all about. Yeah, when you learn to ride a bike, you fell off the bike, you got back onto it, cycled for a bit further, fell off the bike. This is how you learn to walk as well. And this is how we learn to meditate. And what we do is we select an object of focus, the mind wanders, we come back to the object of focus, and so on and so forth. And we're not doing it so that meditation's a wonderful experience, although it can be. We're doing it so that our lives can be a wonderful experience, and we can be present more often than not. So the breath is also a portal to the body, as is nature. A portal to the present moment, as is nature. I've just given away my third portal that I was going to mention today, which is the body. Awareness of our physiology, a thing called interoception, is a hugely beneficial thing. I was reading some studies yesterday to answer some questions for a student, and there's an awful lot of work now. A really useful focus has been done on interoception. What's the difference between those people who are aware of their physiological state and the emotions that reside within it, and those people that aren't? And the answer is that those people who are aware of their physiological state are immensely more resilient. And that answer comes up over and over and over again. So if we want to be able to learn to cope with adversity, such as coronavirus, over time, connecting to our body and connecting to the feelings that arise in it, obviously, are a very important element of that. So there's our three portals: the breath, the body, and nature. And I'll just put them on the screen for you. And I'll have to change their colour tediously. I do have an alternative, and I'm just doing that now. Okay, so there we go. Ghostly, portals, the breath, the body, and nature. Portals to the present moment. But in the modern world, as well as portals, we also have barriers. Tolle doesn't speak about barriers. I do, because what I teach is the focus is on practicality. It's like I'll leave it to other teachers for the flowery prose of the wonders of the present moment, although sometimes I do lapse into that mode myself. But with me, it's more about what do you do to experience it, and also what is it that stops you from experiencing the present moment. So here's three barriers to the present moment. One is advertising, which is a huge thing. Advertising is ubiquitous. Wherever you go, whatever you do, there's advertising, and it intervenes in your present moment experience. Drama. And so you don't have to look very hard for drama. It's just switch on one of those square things. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be a mobile phone. It could be a computer. It could be a TV. There's a drama. And if it isn't drama, then it's real life drama, because you'll get the news, and that's presented as a drama. And then, of course, when you interact with those around you, there's more drama. So then what happens is that takes over the mind, probably more than anything else. And then there's a third barrier up there, which I call, there's a lot of names for this, but it's the sense that something's missing. Unsatisfactoriness is as useful a way of describing it as lack and want and need. But all of these are concepts that help us to understand why the mind keeps moving into various loops. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, this is fair, this is unfair. Should, watch out for the word should. It applies both in the drama and in the unsatisfactoriness of life. Should is your modern mind telling you that it wants the world to be different to the way it is, which is a very difficult thing. Okay, so that all being the case, what I'm going to do now is do some meditations, and the meditations are all either they're portal meditations, so they're meditations that help you to become present, or they are meditations that work to diminish the barriers. So if you just want to get yourselves comfortable, and I shall begin with a bell, and here's a portal to the present moment. That sound. If you meditate long enough, that sound, or the sound of any bell, the mind just becomes very calm or very silent or both. Which is why meditation teachers have bells. And allow yourself to become aware of the present moment through an awareness of the breath. The rising and falling of the breath. The movement of the belly. Just at the point where the belly meets the chest. This is the most frictionless place to become aware of the breath. But if the mind's busy and you want to intervene in its background, yada yada, then as you breathe in through the nostrils, allow yourself to become aware of the coolness of the in-breath. So you can move your attention from one place to the other. Find that which works best for you. Coolness of the in-breath and the warmth of the out-breath, or the rising and falling of the belly. So this practice of bringing our attention to the breath is helping us, especially the sharpness of the in-breath. Very often when people are surprised, they gasp. What they're doing is breathing in very, very quickly, because it makes us alert and aware. Sometimes referred to as a sharp intake of breath. When someone's surprised or shocked. And the breath is a good way into the physiology, the body as a whole. How do I feel right here, right now, in this present moment? And so for those of you that are experienced meditators, you'll settle into an open, balanced and relaxed posture. And become comfortable. And finally another portal, which is nature. So you can look around for a natural thing. We tend to look for other living things. So we'll look for a tree or a plant or the sky or a cloud. But nature's all around us. And for some reason, we don't tend to include other humans. But of course, other people are part of nature. So whatever sound there is around you, that's made by other people, it's a natural sound. If you can see out of a window, and you can see the sky, or you can see trees or plants, that works most usefully, trees especially. So there's a meditation, you can try it out this week. It will be windy, which is good, which consists of sitting for 20 minutes or so, meditating on a tree. have a specific tree I meditate on. All we're doing is allowing ourselves to become aware of it. Noticing it. If there is no tree, whatever sounds there are, or whatever's around you, essentially all human artifacts are still part of nature. It's just the human termite hill, that's all. And then we come to the barriers to presence, those things that intervene in our present moment experience. And advertising, drama, lack, unsatisfactoriness. So let's begin with advertising. All advertising has advertising copy in it. A famous example of this is Guinness is good for you. I have no idea if they still use that as part of their advertising spiel. But there you go, there's an example. So let's say you're walking along the road and an advertising hoarding takes your attention, and you have no desire to be drawn into it. All you do is you read out the copy as a note, noting the experience. We're labeling the experience of us being drawn into the advertising. So the response would be to say in your mind, Guinness is good for you. And then you bring your attention back to the present moment. And this is true of any advertising, any marketing. What you're doing is taking the the copy, which is supposed to be compelling, and you are neutralizing it by adopting it as a label, something that you note in your mind. So walking along the road, buy these cars, buy this fridge, whatever it might happen to be. You just repeat it in your mind. Just repeat the copy. You're neutralizing it. Separating it from its compelling nature. And then you're back to the present moment. And that entire exercise, you're walking along, you're on autopilot, your mind's been drawn into some advertising. You notice you're drawn into the advertising. At that point you become present. You label it, note it by repeating whatever it is that you've read in the advertising, and you bring your attention back to the present moment. And you repeat that, and eventually you'll become immune to it. And so labeling is all about noting our present moment experience. And so there's a meditation called Noting the Present Moment Experience. And so as I sit here, I can hear traffic in the background. So I might label that as trafficking. It doesn't matter if the words you use are grammatically correct. Only you will hear them. So I'm noticing my breath. So I'll say in my mind, breathing, breathing. I'm aware of sitting. I'll say in my mind, sitting, sitting. If thoughts arise, I'll say in my mind, thinking, thinking. If there's an emotion trying to grab my attention, feeling, feeling. And so whatever pops into mind, what we do is label it, note it. And as our mind drifts from one present moment experience to another, and these experiences, the phenomena, arise in our awareness, we note them all, label them all. Listening, listening. Sitting, sitting. Feeling, feeling. From where I am, I can hear footsteps, walking, walking. So as you're sitting, if you notice any tension in the body, and you let that go on the out breath, you can say in your mind, relaxing, relaxing, or releasing, releasing. And so now as to the unsatisfactoriness, the feeling that something's missing, the not good enoughness of life, find a time when you feel the most powerful. One of the 4 rules of meditation: fix your roof in the sunshine. You meditate when you're feeling good. And as you meditate, allow yourself to become aware of your emotions, whatever they might happen to be. You can neutralize and generalize your emotions with the labeling practice, with the noting practice, by saying in your mind, feeling, feeling. Or you can name them. Now, this isn't necessarily about us dredging up uncomfortable emotions. Notice when I suggest that we do this when we feel good, when we feel powerful. And notice what arises as an emotion and just label it in your mind. Could be joy, could be doubt, could be happiness, could be anxiety, could be bliss, could be irritation. Doesn't matter what it is. This is labeling the emotions. Allowing yourself to become aware of how you feel. If you don't feel powerful now, you might prefer to just focus on your breath. But if you do feel powerful, if you're in a good place, then you can open up to what sensations there are in the body and name them. And remember, nobody else gets to hear this name. You can create one. Doesn't matter whether you get it right or not. If you're not sure, if you don't have a comfortable name for it, And all you say in your mind is feeling, feeling. And you're waiting for the next emotion. Sometimes you get the same one twice, many times, other times it's different ones. Doesn't really matter. It's the first step to connecting with these messages from the body, which is what they are. All emotions are a message, and we're acknowledging them, which is the first step. Gently returning your attention to the breath, either in the belly or in the nostrils, wherever it's most comfortable for you. Yes, I just wrote this down, that noting is one of the best ways to intervene in the mind's desire to be on autopilot. Using that, what we're doing is retraining the mind gently. We're acknowledging the experience that we're having. We're training the mind to become aware that we become aware when whatever it is, whatever barrier there is that intervenes in our presence arises. And all of this, once the body mind, the subconscious, becomes aware that the conscious mind is on the ball, it actually calms down a hell of a lot. Okay, right. So that's it for today. Apologies to the people on Podbean. I had an audio issue for about the first 25 minutes of that, but I hope it improved after that. And great having you all online, all the usual suspects, and I will catch up with everybody during the week. Mindfulness-based resilience course training sessions on Wednesday and Thursday like normal, and then the 2020 meditation on the following Saturday. And I hope you have a fantastic week and a good evening and good night. Yeah, I'm pleased that worked out for you, Anne. Yeah, I'm glad you're back from your Dorset excursion, Kel. Keep sending us the photographs. It reminds me of Cornwall. When we catch up, you'll have to tell me where you were. Okay then. Good night, everybody. Have a fantastic week. Thanks, Dave. Good night.